Pittsburgh Sportsline Live. We're in studio tonight. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area. We appreciate all the watching on TV, and Pittsburgh Sportsline on Facebook just at a new high, 3,167. We appreciate all of that. And we have a great show for you. Of course, our Sandbox boys, Little Z and Smoking Jim Frazier. Just got a text from Smoking Jim Frazier. He's coming from God's country in Monroeville, and he said there's traffic. So that's news to me because I didn't realize the Liberty Tunnels have been closed. In another 14 days, I think they'll be open. So whenever he comes in, you'll see him arrive. Zach Brenner just got off a job. He's on his way. He's minutes away, so we'll see him appear. And it's live TV, so if people are walking in, you know they're coming into the show. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner. And we always start our show out with what's on our mind, and we're going to stay with that program. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan, and good evening, everybody. And a couple of things are on my mind. Obviously, the Pirates' recent success is
you fired up?
I'm fired up about that, and we'll get into more about the Pirates later on in the show. But you want to know what's on my mind is a couple of items that hit the news wires in the last 24 hours, and it's one of these things that absolutely perplexes me. Tony Dungy made the national news by making a comment that a lot of people have taken as being bigoted, at the very least, and he made a comment about a young man named Michael Sams, who was the very last pick in the NFL draft,
right?
And Tony Dungy made a comment to the effect that as a head coach in the NFL, he would not have drafted him because he felt that he was too much of a distraction, and that he wouldn't want to take away from the team. And Tony may be entitled to his opinion, but in a public forum like that, there's too many people that are offended by what he said because Michael Sams is the first
openly
gay player to admit prior to his NFL career that he is homosexual, and I don't believe that that's really any cause for him to either be in the NFL or cause for him to not be in the NFL. Him being a distraction, I find Tony Dungy kind of hypocritical, being that here's the person that trumpeted Mike Vick's return to the NFL after he was convicted of felony animal cruelty charges, served time in prison, but he's not a distraction considering all the people that were outraged about that. Why was that? Because he's a star? And why is Michael Sams a distraction? Because maybe he's the last pick in the draft and he may not make the team. So, I think it's kind of, like I say, hypocritical that he would make a comment about one person and act completely in the other vein with another person. And you know what? Michael Sams may or may not make the NFL. He was the last pick in the draft because of his performance at the Combine and because at his pro day, he performed horribly, and he's a marginal player at best, and I really hate to see him make the NFL simply because he's gay. He should make the NFL or get cut from the NFL based on his way he performs on the field. And that's the first thing that's on my mind. And the second thing, and I'll make this short and sweet, everybody knows what happened up at Penn State. Joe Paterno, his career ended in disgrace, and people are still trying to get back his good name or whatever. But his one son, Jay Paterno, has enough gall to sue Penn State University because now he cannot get another coaching job in college football, and somehow that's Penn State's fault because he feels they acted rashly. Well, Jay Paterno, let me clue you in on something. You can't get a job as a coach in college football because you were a lousy coach to start with. You didn't develop one single quarterback that was worth his weight. And a fine example of that was a quarterback that played at Penn Hills, Gino Morelli.
Yeah.
He came out of Penn Hills High School with all the credentials and fell flat on his face because he didn't have any good coaching there in Penn State. So why is it Penn State's fault that you can't get a job? Or maybe you should look in your mirror and
we'll revisit that
and take a look at yourself. Maybe you're a lousy coach. That's what I think.
Or maybe Gino Morelli was a lousy quarterback.
Hey, they're only as good as they're coached, Zach.
No, it's not always
I want to
true.
revisit that because I got some inside information for you on Morelli.
Good deal.
So we'll
I
tell you
figured my
that.
friend Jim Frazier would have some inside info on
I
that.
do, right?
Okay,
We'll
go ahead.
discuss
Traffic.
it. You'll
We'll
be
revisit.
amazed there, but
This traffic was bad.
Zach Brunner, what's on your mind about the traffic environment that's in Pittsburgh right now, getting from the east to Bethel Park? And then we'll discuss some sports because you got to let that go a little. So bring it out. How was your trip here?
It was long and strenuous. But what's on my mind tonight, folks? I didn't hear Chip. He talked about the success of the Pirates. Well, I'm going to go a little bit further into this, and I don't often put a lot of thought into my great mind into the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, but tonight I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of insights that's kind of been eating at me for a while now. I heard Neil Huntington go on an interview and state that he wasn't really sure if they were going to make any moves to try to get better or improve the team here after the All-Star break. And yeah, they've won a couple games, but my real point is it's still the same kind of thing going on down at the North Shore at PNC Park that's been going on for a long time now. They have the money, they have the players in the farm system that they can make a couple moves to get better right now and guarantee themselves to be contenders. But instead of doing that, they're holding back, and I think that's going to end up costing us in the long run. What I feel is, and what I've heard from experts that I've talked to, is that our farm system is one of the best in the major leagues. And even if we gave up a couple players in some trades to bring in some of the pieces that we need, such as a starting pitcher, or a first baseman potentially, and I'm not talking about Howard from the Phillies because mathematically that's just ridiculous how much money he's owed on his contract, but so I don't think that's going to happen. But I do feel like Neil Huntington and the Nuttings need to pull the trigger and make a couple moves and show this city that they're as serious as the other team on the North Shore about getting better, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's what's on my mind tonight, folks.
Thanks, Zach. I'm sure we'll have some revisitation on that, without a doubt. That may be a long revisitation time, but we'll see what happens. What's on my mind is, we always promote a couple things. Well, we're involved with this event called the Pittsburgh Games, and that'll be coming up August 2nd. It's the first annual Camo 5K Trail Run Challenge. Wow, sorry, Bob LaFawn, that's a mouthful you got for me. Some of the proceeds are going to go to the Homeless Children's Education Fund, and it's numerous age groups and everything else will be competing in this. It's going to be at Agan Park in Springdale, just off exit 12A of Route 28, and it'll start at like 9 o'clock in the morning, so make sure you're out there early. Pittsburgh Sportsline is going to film. I think it actually starts at 9:30, but we'll be out there, checking out the event and interviewing some of the winners, because this is to improve your health and to try to put some awareness out there for the Homeless Children's Fund. There'll also be a Steeler there. Maybe you remember Justin Hartwig. He'll be there. And the newscaster Sheldon Ingram will be the official MC. So it's going to be a fun day out there. Check it out. That's August 2nd. Then I wanted to bring up, we got this. John, I don't know if you can pull in on this. This is the Sammy Vasquez fight at the Console Energy Center. I've been talking about that. That's the first time ever. And that's with Iron Mike Productions. So we'll be checking that out down on August 8th. And then the big event, since Zach Brenner's mentioned it before, Rod Salka's fighting at the Barclay Center in Brooklyn, New York on August 9th. So we're going to be hitting both of those events. It should be a fun weekend there. And then Smokin' Jim's not here, and we'll probably touch on it a little later. I know I will in Sip Sports Bar. But Jason Bergman's fighting his NABA heavyweight championship on Saturday night at the Meadows. So it's Madness at the Meadows. It's fighting about 7:30 in the evening. Be a great night for fights. He was just on the Sip show. I'll fill you in on that. And that's what's on my mind with our events here that we got going on. What I also wanted to bring up is it's a great time to be a Pittsburgh sports fan. You got Pirates, of course, Steeler training camp starting up. So we have that going on. We have the AFL Arena Football League. Their last game's coming up Saturday night, and we have championships there. And it's just a great time. The Pittsburgh Passion's going for their second championship, which I say they'll win. A lot of great friends of ours are on the team. So just look around. There's a lot of great sports. How lucky are we to have all these, teams out here that you can watch in the professional leagues. Plus, you got all the kids playing ball and sports around here too. So enjoy yourself with this great summer weather, and that's what's on my mind. Let's start this revisitation right now. Ding, ding.
Okay, the gloves are off. I'd like to start with the revisitation. Of course, I
Where?
take exception with my good friend here, Zach Brenner. And, the Pirates have developed themselves into a team capable of winning right now the way they stand. They have also set up the organization so that we can win in the years coming. And if you remember anything from the 20 years of futility that the Pirates had, every time they got a prospect and any time they got within 10 games of 500, well, we traded all our prospects for that can't-miss person that was going to bring us over the hump, and it didn't, and it ruined our farm system, and it almost ruined the whole organization.
How many of those draft picks could they not even sign? There's been top talent that we've lost because we couldn't even afford to. Right. We didn't even pay the money to keep them.
But my point to you is, yes, they've got money, and you know what? Spending money does not guarantee you anything. And if you would like an example of that, take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies. They spent $180 million in salary on their team this year, and they are mired in last place. Now they're going to have a garage sale. Everybody's up for, and the people in Philadelphia think that the way that we're running our team is the way to do it. This team, and if you pay close attention to the way the team's playing, right now this team is good enough to win the division as it sits. Now, could it use some pieces to make it better? Yes, but not at the cost of mortgaging your future. Look what the Pittsburgh Penguins did the last couple of years. They mortgaged their future to win now, and what happened? The team got blown up. The manager, the coach got fired. The general manager got fired.
But in defense of that, the Pittsburgh Penguins are stocked with talent in Wilkes-Barre. They got so many young defensemen down there, they don't even know what to do with them. So now some of these kids are going to get a shot, just like last year, when a couple guys stepped up. And like Oli Mata came out of nowhere in prospect camp and stepped up. So the Penguins are in good shape. As far as the Pirates go, what it boils down to is I'm not saying to overspend or overpay. What I'm saying is that there are other teams out there making moves right now that we should be trying to think about making, but not at the sacrifice of giving up like a Bell or one of our elite prospects. But we do have some guys available that we can make a move and try to get better, at least at first base and at least a starting pitcher.
Who would you have in mind?
Well, to pick up as far as a trade goes?
Yes, I mean, if you look at who's out there on the trade market, look at what is out there and available and what it would cost for us to have it, and it doesn't make sense for us to make a move.
Well, this year I'm looking, why make a move right now for the simple fact you did go with Ike Davis. He hasn't panned out. So you take a chance. So they did take a chance. Am I 100% happy with how they run things? No, but I see they have a vision there, and that's all I wanted to see. And I see, because I watch the farm system now a lot more, because I kept saying, who do they have on the farm? Well, they got a lot of live arms that are pitching. They're in Double A and stuff. Some are moving up to Triple A. So that means it takes time. So right now with the team they have, we need some better pitching. We need some of the guys that were starting to just hang in there for that 6 innings. Even with Locke, you give up 3 runs, but you put 6 quality innings, and then the bullpen just needs to perform. Last year we overachieved in every area, and that made a difference. This year we're not yet anyhow.
Well, we've had our moments. We've had our moments of failure. Those are well documented. You look at the 3-game series to start off the second half, or the
Rockies,
against the Rocky series. The starting pitching performed admirably. The relievers pitched admirably. I was at 2 of the games, and the relief pitchers, they shut down the Rockies, gave us the opportunity to win the game. There are pieces in our system that could ultimately end up becoming starters, if not this year. What I'm really interested in seeing is when they expand the rosters on September 1st. Andrew Lambeau, believe it or not, who failed at his first attempt to win the starting first base position, is actually hitting the cover off the ball down in Triple A.
I just hope it translates to Major League.
Well,
you had Garrett Jones for years, was a quality minor leaguer, and it took him, a dozen years almost to come up to the majors. And he did, okay for a few years. So maybe Lambeau will be like that. Maybe he will be able to continue that success here, and I'm hopeful. because they have a core team
They
that
do.
is a pretty good team.
First base is not as much of a black hole as, granted.
It is.
We do need production there. Ike Davis, throughout his career, and I'm not really trying to say that he's the answer to all our problems, has been a second-half player. His OPS in the second half of the season for his entire career is over 800, which is pretty good. And if he can perform to close to that ability, that could be a big help to us. And Gregory Polanco, who seemed like the savior when he was brought up, and it's pretty obvious now that he was rushed up. And Neil Huntington also said that he was rushed.
Well, please the fans.
Well,
so when you
pleased
please
the
the
fans,
fans, it doesn't.
but he was
it
rushed
doesn't
up
translate into wins and
because
that's
of an
part
injury
it.
to Neil Walker.
Right.
Okay, and they would have liked to. So right now he's struggling, and you know what? I believe that he's going to work through his problems. Pedro Alvarez has been a huge disappointment this year. His home runs are down, his RBIs are down, and he's leading the league in a category that nobody wants to lead the league in, is the most errors in the major leagues. Right. He's having difficulty throwing consistently over to first base. He's got 21 errors this year. 18 of those 21 errors are throwing errors.
Right.
And, if he's hitting 25, 30, 35 home runs, the errors I'm not paying much attention to, but he's not hitting home runs.
Well, he's giving up runs doing it, and he's not making any back. So that's why you don't like what he's doing.
But on the positive side, his batting average is over 250, which is higher than it's been at any other time in his career.
I'll take 220 and 25 home runs right now.
He's not driving in the runs, and he's probably left more men on base than anybody in the majors.
So you're saying that the Pirates should not go out and try to trade, for the Red Sox, PV, or go out and get Kennedy from the Padres.
I like Ian Kennedy. If they could work out a deal with him, I would like him as an addition to our pitching staff. Peavy is, I think, we're 1 or 2 years late on him. I don't think he's got much gas left in the tank. Ian Kennedy, I think, would be an excellent acquisition. But once again, it depends on the cost.
So you think Volquez was pitching good?
Volquez has pitched well consistently all year. Last night he got roughed up. But, the game prior to that, he had won 4 games in a row.
Well, I got some promising news on Garrett Cole. Apparently, he threw about 3 innings, which is apparently like 50 to 60 pitches. Mm-hmm. For those of the folks at home that pay attention to that stuff, like Chief, I guess. But I guess it's simulated, off the mound. So I guess that's promising news that he should be,
They're working on getting him back, and this is one of the things that I've been telling people that I've been talking to Pirates baseball to over the last few days. The way that the division is set up right now, with St. Louis having Yadier Molina out for the rest of the year, who's their MVP caliber catcher. Yeah. With the Reds, with Votto out, Brandon Phillips out, for extended periods of time. And, right now, the Brewers have been taking a nosedive. I think we get a strong Garrett Cole back. Liriano pitched a very good outing Friday night, even though he was kind of all over the place. He only gave up 1 run, and it was an unearned run on a Pedro Alvarez.
I just hope
I think
Frankie's
we could be
back.
The odds-on favorite to win the Central Division.
Now, with what Chip Hanner just said, and the Prophet, mind you, I'm even more convinced that Neil Huntington should pull the trigger, and not in a Ray Shero kind of way, but I definitely try to go out there and pick off a couple of these bones that are still left floating around.
I do think Ian Kennedy would be a nice addition.
Well, the timing is something too.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting them for a few $1 million, I can't see giving away a lot of players. Be a true rental player, depending on their contracts.
Here's the thing that makes Ian Kennedy desirable, is that they have an option for him for next year, and it's only about $8 million.
Oh, really?
So that puts him right in our price range.
That's what I'm talking about.
And he's not so much of a rental because we get some mileage out of him for next year, and he could be a part of the starting rotation. And that's what you have to look at when they're going to make trades. Are you going to give away prospects on a true rental player, or are we going to get somebody that we've got some control over? Then it makes sense to make a move like that. So we'll see what happens.
And in baseball, how many rounds are there in a baseball draft? There's an exorbitant amount of rounds. So
I don't know the answer, Zach. I'll say a lot.
And I'll tell you what,
I've seen 56, 60 rounds.
And a lot of those prospects don't pan out. Football players get drafted that are clearly playing football, but Russell Wilson is a clear case of somebody that appears to be on the borderline between if he doesn't have a good season or two in the NFL, he might be playing baseball. So, but. There's so many draft picks out there in baseball. We got a good farm system right now. So what if we give up a couple picks?
Yep. But the difference you're talking about is a good farm system means no matter where they were drafted, they're playing good baseball. because that's the hard part. You can get drafted, but like you alluded to, most of them don't make it, and that's a big difference. So these guys are actually playing pretty well on the farm teams.
And the thing about the farm team in the Pittsburgh market, and then the way that they've got their business model structured, is there are going to be players that are playing on this team right now who are going to perform to a certain degree that's going to warrant them huge contracts from other teams. And there's a lot of big fish out there that will throw boatloads of money at people. So there are people that are playing on our team right now that we would love to keep that we're not going to be able to. And having the pieces to be able to plug in once they've moved on is what's going to keep the organization winning over the next number of years.
So do you think El Toro is going to snap out of his slump, or this is just what we should expect for the rest of the year?
Well, I do. I honestly do. I think, to be honest with you, Pedro Alvarez is one hot streak away from being right back into where his numbers should be.
Which is very odd to have that happen with a player.
But I mean, here's a guy that, when he gets hot, he can hit 6 or 7 home runs in a week and put the team on his back and carry it. And he can change the outcome of a game with one swing of the bat. And there's not a lot of players in the game that can do that.
Exactly. He could get 25 home runs like it's nothing when he gets a couple streaks. Wait till he's mic'd up. Can you help him get mic'd up? Smoking Jim Frazier. Keep the camera off of him while he pulls his shirt up and puts that mic on.
No, he wants to show off them pecs.
That's yeah. We didn't even get to that part yet. We're still on revisit what's on our mind. So why don't you throw something in? We'll interrupt this revisitation with what's on your mind besides discovering traffic, like I told people. You just realize there's traffic.
I should go Chip's way, but thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine.
Yeah, that means you'd have to talk to me on it.
You must agree.
I'm not throwing it. You've been in traffic too long.
You got to see Levine. But hey, I'm going to thank everybody out there for all the birthday shout-outs that everybody gave on Facebook and all the text messages and calling my phone and voice messages and stuff like that.
You ever check those?
I check the voicemail.
Oh, good.
But I don't check the.
That's a lie, because you never got my birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Jim Frazier.
You sang it to him, I heard.
Thanks.
It's like your phone. You two have the same type of phones. Whatever you do, call Brenner Contracting. Just call and then hang up. He'll get back to you. Call Smoking Jim Frazier all you want. Call me first if you're trying to get booked on the show, or text me. Okay, and then I'll relay it to these gentlemen. They're just two of the busiest guys out there in the city.
But I tell you what, my goal was for my birthday to see how many times I could do 225 pounds. I ended up doing it 30 times. And
over 3 days?
And I tell you what,
over your life.
It was the first time. It was the first time ever that I was able to achieve that many reps without being accused of being on steroids. Or
you got called out last night. I'll bring that up, though.
It was just, last night we had a bodybuilder. She's awesome, and I know I was going to talk more about it. And she put me right on the spot because Al brought it up, and she looked at me in disbelief and said, "I'd like to see it."
Mm-hmm.
So,
I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah, so that's pretty funny, but there wasn't many witnesses to it.
Well,
it was all a dream.
Before we even question that, I'll ask one simple question: were there any witnesses?
Were there any unpaid witnesses?
What he fails to recognize is they're shooting
Are
a
they
movie.
living? Are any witnesses living right now?
They're shooting a movie, a local movie, and Jim Frazier was bench pressing a prop, which turned out to be foam discs that gave them the impression that he was truly lifting them, but they said Acme on the side, which should be the first indication that it's probably not what it is.
Beep, beep. I think the Roadrunner was involved in that.
I'll tell you what, for my next birthday, I want to try to see if I can get back up to a 500-pound bench press, and I'm about 100 pounds away from that. Right.
During the day? During the whole birthday?
Hey, at least I could honestly say I could leg press 500 pounds on the leg press legitimately right now.
Jim, is that a cumulative?
It is. It's like he does 500. He does 500 push-ups, but it's over a week.
Yeah.
He didn't do 500 push-ups in his life.
I just made that up because he's doing research right now. What else is on your mind, Smokey Jim? Really?
On my mind is Yesterday, Alan Levine, the Talking Machine, had an award-winning interview with Jason Ironman Bergman. And I tell you what, it was an outstanding interview. And I tell you what, Jason fights at the Meadows on Saturday night, and Alan and I will be at the press conference on Thursday.
I didn't get invited, so it's hard to make it to things, folks, that when Jim Frazier keeps it all to himself. It's a brother move.
But I tell you
Again.
But in my opinion, Jason Bergman is one of the best kept secrets in the country. This is the guy that can't get any sparring partners, but I'm excited about the fights. We're actually one of the top 10 promoters in the country. Hired Al and I to do it, and one of my dreams.
You get paid for it?
Yeah, that's going to happen. But one of my big dreams, like Al says, if you're going to dream big, don't dream small. But one of my big dreams is to be able to commentate on boxing all over the country, if not all over the world. And this is a promoter that can make that dream come true for us. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. And I'll revisit
That was
that
quite
real quick.
that was quite a dream he had last night while he was sleeping. After he ate like 2 things of ice cream, 4 cannolis,
And the best meatball sandwich I had 2 weeks ago.
Holy smokes.
So you know what? Martin Luther King had a dream, and so does Jim Frazier.
Yes. And Biggie Smalls, they're from Brooklyn, made a song that said all the dreams. So, you know, but
I can't.
back to that point. I mean, I did not sit at this desk, or these desks by myself. And there's 2 other gentlemen to my right, and I could almost guarantee you that all 3 of us combined, like, you know how heavy that is on the bar? Like, just go over to the bar and just like try to, like, come on, folks.
Technique.
Come on, folks. Come on, folks.
He
You
got
can
to-
have all the technique in the world. All the technique in the world. Like, it's not light, man.
Well, wait till I get the revisitation bit.
Okay.
I'm not here to beat up Smoking Jim
no.
Frazier,
I'm just
but
keeping it real.
I question the one statement he keeps making to me. I'm an honest man. And we're going to move on with that. We'll go to Sip Sports.
I believe.
Oh, my bad.
I
Yeah, I'll
believe.
back up.
I congratulated him. If you want to know, I congratulated him.
I believe.
But I'm starting to have doubts now because when my man's not quick on the one-liner, I don't know what it means.
Man,
But the
this
one
man has got more
revisitation.
bubble baths in the emergency room in 1 year than, you know, and he's in the weight room pumping iron. Like, come on, folks. I'm not trying to roast Jim Frazier, man. But holy smokes, I'm out here moving boulders, digging holes, like doing all kinds of things that you couldn't even imagine. And these guys out here.
And that's our comedy edition. But I got to revisit something
All
he
right,
said.
let's go to Sips.
No, it's still revisitation. He said there's a press conference. Now, I missed out on Southpaw movie because he went to the hospital. I did all the right things. And I missed out on the movie. They're filming right in Carrick. And I missed out. Nobody told me.
Extra for free.
I know.
We're begging people to
I
be
know,
here.
but I shunned him because Jimmy Savetic took care of me. I just wanted out in the air. He took care of me and said, "You're in."
Well, they
So
took
I knew
care of
I
me
was
too.
out.
And of the 2 of you, I got paid to make an appearance in that movie because I'm smart and I represent myself.
When'd
and
you
I
go?
only make the best deals.
You mean this week?
Yep.
Where'd you go?
Over to Carrick.
Nice.
Wow. I didn't
Can't
even know
beat
about
that.
So you can't beat the cameos in this city.
Well,
but I
they
gotta-
said they wanted an
Monster.
older car. I almost drove up, but I couldn't get the car up the hill there.
I just happened to be driving through and I was like, man, I know Carrick's ghetto, but I didn't know it was this ghetto. But they transformed it.
Oh yeah,
into
they
this-
did. They put
Yeah,
all
there's
that
spray
gang
paint,
graffiti
yeah,
there,
there's stuff all over the place.
Melrose and everything
Yeah,
else. I was like,
yep.
look at this.
Yep.
Wow.
I was like, mine's the right place.
That looked like
It was
Right
like
at
Back
the
to
top
the
of
Future.
I
Maytime.
said to my wife, I said, gangbangers must have got loose. They went crazy up here on Brownsville Road.
Belts Hoover.
Smoking Jim, we missed out on that today.
it. Yeah, wow. Ain't that something?
Unbelievable.
Well, from this point on, I would like to preach, and I didn't go to Cal U, and I didn't study anything really, but I know basic math.
Where at?
And any deal that you make is, should be a good deal, and only make deals that pay. Listen to Chip, man. Take Chip's advice. Chip only does things that pay. So You know, whenever we're negotiating our next deals and our next big deal, Smoking Jim Frazier, make sure that there's some real heavy money on the line. Real heavy money.
Oh, forget the money. I just want to revisit what time is the press conference on Thursday? What time are you picking me up in Bethel Park? Those are two questions I have.
Wait a minute. Just go to the Meadows, because by the time he gets to Bethel Park, he's going to have business.
I'm 12.3 miles from the Meadows.
That ain't bad.
Yeah, but when are you going to be there?
About noon good, because press conference is at 1, and I got paid this week for the Donnybrook. I finally got my W-9.
Man, I'm so proud of you.
2014 is your year. I'm looking for my year.
Hey, if the IRS is watching, that will not come up on his tax return.
Is that the heavy money?
That's not even money. That was just something that was owed. Well, I'm glad you got the paperwork in. It's not in a timely fashion.
Still waiting for checks from WPXI. But then again, you got to submit the invoices to get paid. So it's a process, man. We're working on it.
Well, you might just have to do a W-9 under your government name. And we're going to revisit SIPs. No, we're done with that.
We done with SIPs?
No, we're done with revisit. We're done. Well, SIPs, we're going to start it. It's right up here.
You already started that. If we go back, Dave Cable, he already said it a couple of times.
He's not editing this. This is unedited.
Oh, I know.
Try to say that.
But he'll go back and watch it.
Well, he
if
might.
He's not watching it right now.
He's not watching it right now. It's too nice out there in Bethel Park. It's SIP Sports Bar last night. We're in Bethel Park country here. It was a nice night at SIP Sports Bar. We had a packed house, a lot of great guests. Started out with Jason Bergman. Took time out from his busy schedule and working out. I was kidding him that he ran the SIP Sports Bar because he's only 2 miles from the Meadows, but he's a lot further away from SIPs. Great interview. You have to check it out. It's posted up there. Then we had John Nieder III. He was there talking in-your-face MMA stuff. Talked about the Chris Dempsey fight. Chris Dempsey, we heard, is getting a 3-match deal out there with the UFC where he can fight in his weight class, which makes a big difference, as you experts know. And then we had from a bodybuilder, Teresa Ivancic. She was out there. She questioned why she's a good friend of mine now. She goes, I want to see that.
Hey, and that's not necessarily true about the weight thing, because I'll give you a prime example.
Which weight?
Billy, the Pittsburgh kid, the original Pittsburgh kid, Colin. I'll give you another brief little thing. He was a light heavyweight, and he was the light heavyweight champion of the world, and he wasn't satisfied with just that. He took on Joe Louis, the heavyweight champion of the world. So I kind of dispute that thing about weight.
Well, I would dispute that if they did this stuff back then. If a guy's 275 and he drops down to 205, I think he's still 240 the day of the fight.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Now, Pittsburgh, the original Pittsburgh kid, he could punch holes through steel doors. That's the type of power he had. He was renowned for his power. So you have those exceptions, just like Chip knows in baseball. You see a big 6'10" guy, you think he could throw a baseball like a BB through whatever he wants. He can't. You got a guy 5'7", he might throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. God gives you a lot of these talents. When you're talking about some of the God-given talents of a relative of yours, I'm not going to dispute it. But could he go against, somebody in this day and age where the training methods are completely different, that you can have weight gains and losses that are like a body?
So how bad was it back then, though? Because of the
They didn't
regulation.
do it.
If
Joe
Billy
Louis
Conn
was
would
probably.
if Billy
They didn't
Conn
do it.
would not have stood toe-to-toe with Joe Louis and boxed him the last few rounds, he would have been the heavyweight champion. He was beating Joe Louis
And
until
it's
he decided to
documented,
slug
you
with him
know
and he
that.
got knocked out.
So,
And it will go down, as stated by himself, as one of the biggest regrets of his life,
and he still was a great boxer and a great reputation. But I disagree with you completely on the weight classes today and what I've seen just in the last couple years.
I mean, Coleman Worthy's a prime example. I mean, there's guys out, Levine, that can span this gap, man, where they can go down, they can go up, but there's no kind of depletion.
And he's a vegetarian.
41 years old, getting ready to fight. We just met him, down at the Rivers
He was
Casino.
heavyweight champ of the world.
And that's one of my favorite fighters. He's been how many weight classes?
But
From
these
middleweight-
are exceptions.
middleweight to
You're talking
heavyweight.
about exceptional people. I'm talking.
That's what Billy Conn
your
was,
fighter,
exceptional.
definitely, and that's what I brought up. there aren't many of those in each generation, each sport.
True.
That's the difference.
But I will also say this, and this is what I got to say to any of these other guys that are getting ready for their big fights coming up. The hardware speaks for itself. You know, but champion is something that nobody can take away from you.
You can't dispute the hardware. How you got it, I don't really know.
Exactly.
Maybe you earned it a hard way. Maybe you didn't. Who knows? You hope it's all the hard way. But when you get in the ring, my friend, when you get in the ring or cage or whatever you do, then you'll speak for yourself.
Correct.
And these guys out there have gone out there and fought the hardest they can. So I respect all of you.
They fought the hardest they can. It doesn't mean they fought the hardest person.
You're breaking down. You're getting into arguments
that's my thing. When a guy goes from light heavyweight champion of the world to take on the heavyweight champion of the world, who happened to be Joe Louis, like that to me, like that just speaks volumes. Like that means you're already the champion of one thing. Like now you're going after something, and you don't even weigh nowhere near as much.
You're gonna have me bring up Sugar Ray Robinson, who is the best pound for pound fighter. So there's a rarity.
Yeah.
He fought from
light heavyweight all the way down.
and even lower weights as he was maturing.
Yeah.
But again, these guys had punches that could knock a horse out.
Yeah.
Okay. And a horse weighs 1,000 pounds. When you can do that, Sonny, then we'll see.
Only
what
the
happens.
brain of a walnut, though.
And no disrespect for all these guys from my point of view. You can say what you want. That's what America's about. And if you believe that, I see some of these guys fighting their hearts out to do it, and ladies too.
Nobody's questioning the heart. I'm questioning the caliber of the fighter's talent. Like I'm questioning when they're padding stats.
You're getting into my
make sure, as my manager, when I fight, that you get me the hardest SOB that you could possibly put in there.
All right, but it was a great show at Sip Sports Bar. I don't know how we got on to Billy Conn, my hero.
And let's move on.
I can't agree to disagree with that. He's so dead wrong. Because when he has a gym, I'll just tell you this much. When he goes in the ring, if he goes in at 253 pounds, I want to see who he fights in any sport. That's what I want to see. And if you can prove me wrong there, you can fight at your weight and have the wind and be able to have the cardio like these guys do, or not. Let's see that, my friend. That's my challenge to you.
Okay.
That's why I disagree. Because some of these gyms are great, and they got guys, I'm not going to name and call them out, but there's guys that don't run.
Really? Wow.
And that's going to hurt you at some point. Like that's
I'll leave it at that. That's why I don't agree to disagree, because I don't know what you'll do. I got faith in you, but I'm like doubting Thomas right now, because I thought a lot of these guys would be better, and they haven't panned out. Now, I'll see what you do, because you're going to do it, so...
Yep, and it's not going to be a walk in the park, I can guarantee you that.
And there we go. Now we'll move on. Sip Sports Bar, that's it.
Aaron Ganton, British Open. You got anything on that?
No, because you took up his time. We're going to go with our segments. You took up the time. You want to come in because you've been in the car an hour and a half, stopped in Carrick, sprayed paint like you do in Homestead and Munhall. You're up there doing the gang things up there. I know that. I didn't want to bring it out, but you used up that time. We're going to go to my favorite segments here. We'll see about Z time there. It's getting dwindled a bit. No, you got triple secret probation. Smoking Jim Frazier. Let's go to your fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac. I just want to get briefly into some of the top rivalries of all time. You know, I think Penn State was up there. You know, everybody talks about Alabama, Auburn, Michigan, Ohio State, USC, Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma, Army, Navy. But Thanksgiving 2000, I happened to be in Dallas, Texas for the greatest rivalry of all time, TCU versus SMU. Very underrated rivalry in that Eric Dickerson got his number 19 retired. He was an SMU running back, and that was at halftime, and he wasn't even the best running back in that stadium that day. They called this rivalry the Battle for the Iron Skillet. And TCU is a foghorn, and before the game, the SMU...
LT.
There you go. Yeah, before the game, the SMU fans was deep frying and grilling frog legs. It looked pretty good. I didn't try it.
Frog legs, Smoking Jim.
But
They taste like chicken.
That's it. But just like the unknown running back that Chip had mentioned already was wearing number 5 at the time, and I'm looking and I see it right there at that game. I said, this is the best college running back I've seen since Emmitt Smith, and his name is LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yes, sir.
How many championships?
Thanks, Smoking Jim.
Thanks, and that's what's on my mind. It was a great day.
He got the Budinsky disease tonight.
I'm just trying to instill some honest facts into some of this stuff.
Those are opinions, my friend.
No, it's a true statement.
You can be the
LaDainian
greatest
Tomlinson
player in a
has 0
sport and not win any championships.
Yeah,
You're not a
damn right.
champion.
He didn't
You
say
can't be the
that. He
greatest.
said the greatest running back
Hey, and
that
I-
he had
and I
seen.
tell you
You
what.
got to listen to what he says. You've been on the road too long today. He didn't say champion, the greatest champion.
I said it.
He must
Yeah,
have
but we're not listening to that. It's fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. For all you Z fans, he's on double secret probation when he's doing gang signs up in Carrick. All right? He's spray paint. I'm going to drive up there. Another favorite segment of mine is Chip's Trivia Time.
Chip's Trivia Time. Thank you. Being that we're in the midst of a pennant race here in Pittsburgh. Oh, did I say pennant race? Yeah, we're going to stick with my baseball motif here. And I've got some interesting events that happened on various dates here in the history of baseball. And I'll start on July the 21st, 1945.
I don't remember
The
that.
Detroit Tigers and the Philadelphia A's played a 24-inning 1-1 tie.
Wow.
The thing that I found most interesting about this, because in this era of specialization and starting pitchers getting credit for a win after 5 innings, Les Mueller pitched 19 2/3 innings for Detroit in that game.
Wow.
That's
How could he not pitch 20 innings?
You know,
That's the question.
How
I
many
have.
pitches did he throw in those 19 and a half innings?
I would have to look back, but I don't even know if they kept track of it. July 21st, 1973, the all-time home run king of baseball, hit his 700th home run. And as far as I'm concerned, the only player to hit 700 home runs legitimately. And I know that'll be argued by, long and hard by people, but they can say what they want. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Babe
Whether-
Ruth had it.
Barry Bonds.
Yeah. But
Okay.
he was on beer and hot dogs.
He was on beer and hot dogs, and I have a Babe Ruth reference a little further down. July 21st,
Nice one, Smoking Jim.
1975, a Hall of Fame baseball manager, Joe Torre. He was also a Hall of Fame caliber baseball player. July 21st, 1975, he had the misfortune to hit into 4 double plays in one game.
Wow.
Okay.
Now that's a champion.
Now, the more unfortunate thing about this was the guy that batted before him, and in each of these at-bats, his name was Felix Mion. Felix Mion hit 4 singles in that ball game, and he got doubled off
Pete Rose
4
did that
times
again.
in a row. So, that's kind of an interesting event. July 22nd, 1926, the Cincinnati Reds set a major league record by hitting 4 triples in one inning. It was an 11-run second inning.
Wow. I
And
can't even
the
believe
interesting
that
thing
one.
about that, Kurt Walker hit 2 of those triples to tie a National League record. It's a record that
2 in
still
1
has been
inning,
broken.
sure.
I
From
think-
1926, Smoking Jim.
I think that the triple in baseball is the most exciting play in baseball.
Really?
But that's, again, just my humble opinion, and I'd like to correct myself from a few weeks back. I made a note that Honus Wagner was the first ball player to get through to 3,000 hits. I stand corrected. In July 16th, 1897,
Yeah, but-
Chicago's Cap Anson was the first major leaguer to hit to 3,000 hits.
But in the modern era, that's the difference.
Well-
They go, in the statistics, it's a modern era
Explain that to us.
after 1900.
After 1900, so
It's
I
considered modern.
I stand corrected.
Yeah.
because I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
not- not
I
really.
feel like I gave that's a technical.
When was baseball?
1869.
1869? It's been around
The
since.
Red Stockings.
Okay. July 16th, 1909. Again, another amazing pitching feat. Ed Summers of Detroit allowed 7 hits and pitched all 18 innings in the longest scoreless game in American League history.
Wow.
It's the equivalent of 2 baseball games back to back. And then also on July the 16th, 1920, this one's from my friend Al, Babe Ruth broke his own home run record. Okay? He owned the home run record of 29 home runs in one season. So on July 16th, 1920, he hit his 30th home run, on his way to setting a new major league record for that time of 54 home runs in one season. So he almost doubled the record in 1 year.
And in sports, that's a true champion, whether you win anything or not, because you played the game better than you hit more home runs than every team in the league.
What did
Every
they call
team.
What did they call Yankee Stadium? The house that Ruth built.
Yeah.
Really?
He hit more home runs himself than every
Now,
team.
my last baseball reference here, and I take this all the way back to, I think, one of the greatest years in Major League history. And it's in a year where 2 events happened that I don't think that any of us will see repeated in our lifetime. 1941. What made 1941 so significant? 1941 was the year that Ted Williams finished the season with a .406 batting average, has not been done since. And on July the 16th, Joe DiMaggio extended his hitting streak to 56 games. He went 3 for 4. And unfortunately, on July 17th of that year,
My
the
birthday.
streak ended.
On my birthday.
And then he started another streak after that. If
Well,
you throw out your birthday, you have one that would
Well,
be
I
impossible.
have a question because I think Greg Polanco ended up getting that record at
Which
one
one?
time.
Okay?
The 56 game hitting
If he
streak.
could learn to hit left-handers.
Now, this is one of the most
But this is-
outrageous things you said, but you're a baseball fan now.
I got to bet you didn't mention.
I wanted you to do it. You can thank John for that.
Thanks, John. But here's the question that I have. I didn't realize this, Chip, until you. That's why I love listening to your trivia because I learned something.
Or listen.
But I didn't realize
I
that
like to read.
Ted Williams, who and Joe DiMaggio, they both American League,
Yes, sir.
and they're both in the same era.
Yes.
So that Ted Williams, who's the greatest hitter of all time, did he ever challenge a hitting streak that you know of? That came close to
No,
Joe?
I
Yeah,
don't.
the
I don't
20s.
believe. But here's
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And here's the other interesting thing about Ted Williams. He's considered one of the greatest hitters in baseball history, is he never achieved 3,000 hits in his career. And the reason why that happened was because he fought for the United States in World War II.
He was a pilot,
and also
right?
in
Yeah.
the Korean War as well. So he had his career interrupted
Korean?
twice. In the Korean War, yes. He served in
That happened
Korea.
in the 50s, early 50s.
My father
Is that
fought
when
in
it
the
was?
Korean War.
Okay.
That's a champion.
What was in the 70s? That must
A
have been
true champion.
Vietnam.
There you go.
Vietnam.
My
okay.
father fought
Very
in Korea,
true.
but Ted
Wow.
Williams served his country twice in combat. I mean,
Wow.
he wasn't back there peeling potatoes.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah, he was-
you won't find professional athletes.
But even if
that
they
do
were peeling potatoes, God bless them for keeping the
that. No,
army
they,
going.
you know, but that's something. You know, Pat Tillman,
Yeah.
left the NFL and
I
gave
think-
his life
I
defending
think
his
Joe
country.
Lewis peeled potatoes.
And a lot of people don't.
he
he
was
did
a
boxing.
champion.
He did boxing exhibition.
He was
And,
the champion.
but a lot of people don't realize that Pat Tillman, who's one of my favorite players of all
Friendly
time,
fire on.
he had the year that he left the NFL to go to serve his country after 9/11, he had 200 tackles in one season. He was a
His
Pro Bowler.
best year ever.
And he
Pro
walked
Bowler.
away from a multi-million-dollar contract
Yeah.
to go. I mean,
Serve
he
his
felt
country.
he felt strongly enough about it, and
He was in a contract year. They was getting ready to give him a
They were ready to go
contract
in the
that
vault.
was
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, we covered fiction and fact,
That's a
from
true
Smoking
champion.
Jim's Almanac trivia, on
Put it
top
on
of
the
trivia,
line, died for his country.
champions, all that stuff.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's your man Brian Cook. I can't answer.
Oh,
that.
is it?
Brian
Okay.
Cook, thanks for calling.
We're doing
Why
a
don't you
show.
call 831-3304 412 if you're in the city of Pittsburgh.
Thanks, Chip. I appreciate the trivia time, especially the Babe Ruth and all that stuff, and Honus Wagner. Modern era. You don't have to apologize for the.
Well, you know, I mean,
3,000.
I'm not going to take anything on a technicality. I try to give out factual
And
information.
you learn new things every day because I was unaware that they considered it the modern era after the 1900s. You know, I just thought it was all.
Well, they had to because
The
sometimes they'd only have one ball in a game. on baseball. So that would happen, and they played by. Sometimes you had the pitch count was different. You had 5 balls, I think, to get a walk, and other things like that. They fine-tuned a lot of that stuff. So you can get crazy with that, but there's a lot of differences there.
Yeah, Paul Shannon updated that Chip was wrong on that.
All right, let's hear some Z time. We've heard Z rambling everywhere about champs. I want to hear what's on Z time right now.
Well, like I said, speaking of champs, we got on August 8th, we got Sammy Vasquez fighting for his first ever opportunity at a belt. I would like to also point out that same young man who had the Army glasses made his debut on an undercard of a Lightning Rod Soca bout that I was in charge of the security. So I've watched Sammy grow from the beginning. He actually took a couple losses by a good friend of mine, Jesse Lubash. What's up, Jesse? That was a great unfulfilled potential. And
Hey,
that's
shout
my
out to
good friend.
JB Reagan, who watches our show.
That's a good friend
Just
of
for
mine,
general
Jesse
principle.
Lubash. And I'll tell you right now, that kid had a lot of promise
Yes, he
and
did.
a lot of fight. And, I didn't feel like it went as far as it could have or should have. But best of luck to my good friend Jesse, who's out in Chicago. But what's on Z Time's mind is how many days are till training camp in Latrobe?
3.
3 now.
So 3 more days of listening about the Pirates until the training camp starts for the Steelers. Once the training camp starts for the Steelers, that is my favorite time.
I got to agree to disagree that's not happening because of last year.
I agree with Lil Z.
Only in your minds. See, that's the thing.
Without seeing one practice, I'm going to go out on a limb and I say the Steelers are going to do 10 this year.
10.
10
Whoa, you stole my thunder. I'm
Yeah.
at 10 or 11 this year because they could have had it last year.
10 wins. I
And
say
we
they
win the
10
division
wins.
too because Baltimore's got wife beaters.
We still don't know about the suspension
Cincinnati
there.
Bengals though might have the best talent on paper, but
It's
that's
a contract year for Dalton. He might throw for 5K in the yardage.
Yeah, and he also might do what Carson Palmer did, fail miserably.
Well, who rolled up on his knee?
Hey, there
That
was
might
only
have
one
contributed
quarterback
to
to
that.
ever do it for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was Boomer Esiason. So God bless.
Kenny
Kenny
Anderson,
Anderson was
Kenny
good,
Anderson
too.
took him to
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Lost to Joe Montana.
Oh.
So
But Boomer was great.
Montana's a true champion.
Joe Montana is one of my favorite out of Ringgold, a product that
From
has
Western
raised-
Pennsylvania.
Who could have thought? Do you know how many quarterbacks came out of Western Pennsylvania that are
About 100.
champions?
About 100.
Champions. That's a lot of hardware.
Broadway Joe.
Rudy,
River Falls?
Rudy straightened up Montana. I have to tell y'all that story one time. Down the road, he straightened Montana out.
Oh, nice.
So Vince Vaughn actually probably played a character similar to Joe Montana in that movie. Is that what you're trying
There's
to
your
say?
modern era. There's your modern era there. Since we're rambling around, I wanted to shout out to Kelly Robbins for bringing her guy that she's helping the market, James Bryant. He's a nice linebacker there, and he's from Reading, Pennsylvania. Played for the Miami Hurricanes. He also gave me a mug, and since we didn't do Sips Sports Bar
Oh, that guy
very
was
much,
funny. He was
this
funny.
Charlie Goddard, you could just focus on that mug. It's too big. I filled it up with 100 ounces of green tea, so I could barely carry that. So he actually invited us to a reality show because we didn't know he does sports, but he films it anywhere in Hoodsville, and I go, where's Hoodsville? He goes, between your ears. So if you think it, I guess you believe it. He's had a reality show on Fox before. He looks like a miniature Haystack Calhoun.
Yeah, he did.
If you go back in time. Google Haystack
I
Calhoun.
remember Haystacks.
Okay, I knew you would. He was
I
about
remember.
400 pounds.
Trapper Tom, you remember Haystacks, don't you, my friend?
Yeah, definitely. So we had a lot of great people there. So again, thanks for James Bryant. We'll have him back. He's not on Facebook or anything, so you can't get a hold of him.
Yeah, I seen he was just in the black when you had his name out there on Facebook. It wasn't in the highlighted part where you could.
Well, you can't.
Yeah, because
He's
not
back
out
in
there.
black like AC/DC, which Zach Brenner knows about. So one of my favorite songs. And you see, I always tag everybody on that
Yeah,
type
you
of
sure
stuff.
do.
So, and even you, I think you got a little tagline on that.
Yeah, I went and looked up my favorite bodybuilder. She's awesome.
Now,
Yeah, she's awesome, man.
which one? I can't keep track of the
The
favorites.
one that was on
Let's-
the
The
show.
one that called him
Teresa.
on, called him
Teresa.
out on his
Let's
30
keep-
reps.
Let's keep. I don't want to get back into that. Let's keep with the fighting though.
I just got to tell you, Jim, I believe. I believe.
You know, I would never lie to you, Chip.
I'm not sure. Maybe Jim Frazier, the boxing
He's
guy.
laughing. I don't like that.
I believe.
Could you shed any light? Will Paul Spadafora be fighting on August 8th at the Consol Energy Center on the Vasquez?
No, Paul's not fighting on that
Okay,
card.
Paul
There you
Spadafora is
go.
not fighting on that card, folks.
Who else is fighting? Do you know?
I heard Monty Meza Clay.
Amani
He is.
Eberhardt.
I thought
Yeah.
Amani Eberhardt is fighting on the Bergman.
His
undercard.
first-
Which one
yeah.
is it? Is he fighting?
He's fighting on the Bergman, I think. Monty Meza
I get my
Clay.
brothers mixed up.
Here, check this out. I'll give you one, Chip. You can see. Well,
Give me something so I can take to the press call.
no, that's a different one. Just pick me up. Hey, Chip.
press conference. This is for Vasquez. He's talking about Bergman.
Hey, Jim, if you want to pay for a driver, I'll get you there. Okay?
He's getting more and
Just
more
come
like
to my
Muhammad
house.
I
Ali.
know Al knows how to get to the
Every
better.
day.
Just throw me some of them Benjamins.
We're gonna have a good time.
that heavy money. And it's Adios week at the Meadows. That's the biggest race of the year. That'll be on Saturday afternoon. They did their finals. There'll be Miss Adios there. So Smoking Jim, I think if you play your cards right, because you're always promoting women, Smoking Jim and Pittsburgh Sportsline, not necessarily in that order, maybe Miss Adios will come by.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Definitely. I posted her up. I'm
Adios.
friends with her now on Facebook, just so you know.
I think Cian Dalton is fighting on the undercard of that Bergman.
He is.
Is he not?
Yeah, and that's Congreb Boxing with the
It'd be
McSorley
nice to
crew,
have,
with Mike
It would be
McSorley.
nice to have one of these for the Bergman fight that's coming up.
Well, they've had it on billboards. I don't know if you noticed, but on Pittsburgh Sportsline, I put up the billboards that they have there. It's a real nice
They're going on
billboard.
electronic billboards if you're going up 79.
Exactly. See,
Oh, yeah?
Chip has seen them. You guys
I'm
in the city.
Because I get from one end of the city to the other in less than a
I'm
day
in
and a
the
half.
city, Levine.
Chip, try to educate them a little. Look up, my son.
Hey, do I have to put a pink mustache on the front of my truck?
Hey.
And we know you're a hard worker, but I know you have time for Facebook when you're working, because I saw the green little dot light up today, and I didn't think that was, I didn't really see him. So if anybody's checking this, it really wasn't that way. I didn't mean it. You must have just left your phone on, and you weren't near it, liking everything. But that's all right.
I was in a freaking
And
ditch.
hey, thanks for watching our show. We appreciate it. We're winding it down. Come out to the Meadows. I didn't say anything to Don Campiti, but he's a great guy. He'll be out at the Adios, so I may be out there a little earlier to see with him. He gave me some funds to bet on a horse for the Adios race, so thanks, Don. Get that pizza, 50 cents a slice at Sip Sports Bar tonight. So, again, thanks for watching. We'll be out there. Check out all these fights in the neighborhood. A lot of good Pittsburgh guys are fighting. And shout out to Chris Dempsey, no matter what my man says. I'm proud of you. I appreciate all the hard work you've done.
It took a lot of guts for him to go across the ocean and put it all on the line. And I tip my hat to him.
And that means a lot. And we'll see what else with True Champions. That's my theme today, because I like what Zach's saying, because we talk about the W's. So go out there and win. To me, you're all winners in life. If you want to fight, you can prove otherwise. Have a nice night.